start now. You have to allow the recording, I think, again.
Okay, so take 23. Welcome. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by not one, but two beautiful and equally talented women. First, making her debut as co-host, I'm so pleased to be finally joined by the wonderful Deanna of RanD and DB Productions fame. It's about time, Deanna, so thank you for dressing up nice.
Combing your hair.
Really?
We have an incredible
exactly.
guest. I told you not to interrupt my introduction. I warned you. So
I have a number we can put on the bottom of the screen.
once I get through this introduction, I'm just going to let you two speak. Okay? I'm going to sit back and smoke. So I'm thrilled and delighted to be joined by none other than the supremely talented Deedra Patrick. Deedra is a brilliant singer-songwriter from California who delivers a unique blend of rock, blues, country, and pop. Well, I was struggling there to repeat them. So many. You're multi-talented. Anyway, a lot of variety in your music.
Yes.
So your brand new album, Golden Side, which we have enjoyed this week at RanD Town, is available for pre-sale on iTunes right now. And the album comes out at the start of October. So today we're going to dig deep into Deedra's backstory, which I think there's a lot to discover. Learn a little bit about our creative process and everything else in between. So
awesome.
Thank you for joining me both, Deanna and Deedra.
Thank you.
How are you, Deedra, today?
I'm awesome. And it's exciting to be on here with Deanna for her debut hosting is with you. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
And I'm great today. Thank you.
I thought I needed Deanna's co-support because it was my first lady guest. But then when I spoke to you last week, I thought actually I could probably handle you on my own. But
she ain't no lady.
I'm really, really happy to get Deanna on the show, really, because I think I can relax a bit more. And also get Deanna nervous, get her stressed out.
Really?
She's been very nervous today. It's always funny to see her panicking to do RanD meets. So
thank you very much.
Like
then we will speak later, don't worry.
We still have to navigate through this process of co-hosting. I don't know if my ego is going to allow it, but let's see.
Hey, if your ego allows collaborating in music, your ego will take anything.
For sure.
I really don't have an ego.
Right.
I was being ironic. Really. 95%.
I love you guys' music, by the way. I listened to your album before this started. I listened to 5 of the songs that you had up on Spotify.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I love it, love it, love it.
Thank you.
So, like all my guests on the show, our guests on the show, I want to take you back to the start. Our dog making her introduction. So tell me, and you told me you grew up in Oklahoma, and then at 13 you moved to California, which is one of my favorite places in the world, although I've not been. Like I said to you before, I have a little bit of a romantic ideal of what California is. Tell me what it was like for you growing up there as a teenager.
I loved it because, well, as a teenager, right, you could go to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, to the beach, and you could go to the wild, crazy beaches like Venice or, some of the beaches where a lot of people hung out, or you could go to my favorite place in the world, which is Cayucas, which is a little tiny beach town north of here, like about 3 hours. And it's just a sleepy little beach town with big waves. It's beautiful. But what's great about California is that diversity of having the trees, and you have, the giant trees up in the Sequoia National Forest, and you have the mountain ranges in Sierra Nevada, not far from here. And then we have a little town not far from here that does a blues festival. I mean, one coming up that a lot of my friends are playing at coming up, I think next weekend up in Kernville. And there's a lot of music. So, that's one thing about California. There's a lot of music here, a lot of venues to play, a lot of places to hone your talent.
Yeah, I was just checking that just before we came on at what artists came out of California. So you got the Beach Boys, Snoop Dogg, Metallica, Dr. Dre, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Tupac, all from California. So
And then from Bakersfield, you have Buck Owens, which is country, Merle Haggard, Dwight Yoakam, Korn, all these bands that have been national, like big acts that have gone, and then even like big jazz artists from here. So there's a lot of musicians that have come up from here, from metal to country. So even just from this area, so it's called the Bakersfield Sound.
California is kind of like the home of entertainment. I don't know. That's how
for sure.
It. Most people go to California if they want to be a musician or an actor or anything.
So for sure, a lot of competition. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of competition. So you just learn quickly to focus only on your music. Because really, I don't know if I felt a lot of competition until the internet, because you just didn't know before the internet. You just vibed with people. It wasn't too much information, The internet kind of creates a little bit of that, only because there's a perception visually that's not really, don't you think? So it's like, so you see things which before that, as a musician, I didn't see like a number here of this band and a number, you just liked music and enjoyed music and went and watched music in your present mode.
Okay.
What were your favorite artists as a kid, as a teenager?
Well, coming up, I've always been more of a singer-songwriter person. Like I always wanted to be a songwriter. So my favorite people were songwriters. So, or like singers, like I loved Linda Ronstadt. I loved coming up. This is going to sound so boring, but I was fascinated with singers like Dionne Warwick. And, then when I got beautiful singers like that. But I also liked songwriters, as corny as it sounds, like Engelbert Humperdinck, which I had a big, huge book of all his songs he wrote, believe it or not, like hit after hit after hit. And you're like, whoa. And so I always studied the form of songwriting. So I always liked songwriters. And so I could name a lot. And then, but as far as bands go, when I moved to LA, I really got into bands. Like I was obsessed with Queensryche, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. I loved all that 90s stuff. And so when I was in LA, I think that really influenced the sound of the band I was in. And so I like a lot of stuff. But I would make them listen to classical because I came up training opera. So when I moved to LA, my band was metal. And so it was funny. They would make me listen to Metallica, who I had never even listened to at 23. When I moved there, I was like, okay, I'll listen to them. Sings. And then, and I loved it, but it was funny. So we had to have equal hearing time for my band. For what they made me listen to metal, I made them listen to classical. I like a lot of stuff, but
Well, we can
relate to that.
Yes.
I have a weird taste sometimes now. Like you can have a playlist and it's Pavarotti, and then Eminem. And it's like, how did that transition happen, Ryan?
Hey, like, am I the only one who thinks it's totally cool to make spaghetti to Pavarotti?
Well, anything with Pavarotti is good. Or what's his name? The blind guy.
Andrea
Bocelli.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah, you love Andrea Bocelli. I know.
There's
Beautiful.
something about putting on classical music and making Italian food. Like it just goes together.
Italy is my favorite country. So yeah, I just adore Italy. Anything Italian. Everything is the best place that I ever went to. No? You love Italy.
Yes, I love Italy too.
We didn't go together, but we both traveled to Italy. And
I would love to go.
A lot, yes, it's spectacular.
It's a crazy place. Going back to California and the music. So I mean, you mentioned Dionne Warwick. I was thinking actually when I was listening to you earlier, I couldn't come up with a name, but I was thinking that your music reminds me a lot of the kind of music that Deanna loves, and those powerful female artists from the 80s, and she was one of them.
And when I found you, I was like,
I was like, you're going to love this Deedra Patrick.
Really she must be very famous. What is she doing in this community? Wow, yes.
I was listening to you before you called, and that song, Daydream, and it starts out with those words, dream your life free. I knew right away I connected with you. I know 100% what you mean by that phrase. And as I listened to you sing, I was thinking about our conversation last Sunday, how humble you were about your singing voice. And I hadn't really listened to you because what happens is, I think, is you that run these groups and interviews. For me personally, I didn't even realize, you were creating music. I'm like finished my album, and now I'm more focused on the news feed and seeing what's going on. But when I was doing my album up till I finished it, I was very just focused on, the singles that were coming out. And as my one person marketing person, what was I supposed to do to put things out? But I made a note of that because I was like, wow, I'm going to totally... you are like right up there. You have a beautiful voice. And as a voice coach, because that's like what I do for a living.
Thank you very much.
Your voice is beautiful. And yours too, Ryan, because you sang on that song One More Day or something like that.
That's not. That's not.
Who is that?
That's Chad from Wendigo.
Chad from Wendigo Drifter. Yes, we made a collaboration and it's spectacular. And
yeah, he has a nice voice and the harmonies you guys do.
That's Chad's
liked that.
First ever song.
Thank you very much. It was my first collaboration ever. I've never made a collaboration before, and was incredible to work with him, really.
Oh, it sounds beautiful.
What a musician.
Anyway, yeah. You have a beautiful voice, though. But yeah, I love
so
those
much.
lyrics.
If you want to listen to me singing, you can enjoy Humanity Disorder or Forbidden.
Oh, I did.
Those are
I
my
loved
tracks.
that.
And I
No,
should
but I
sing
loved
with,
that.
with the fingers, with that singing.
But I liked your lyrics and your timing with how you were doing it, because not everybody can do that and speak and make it sound like cohesive of the singing, like singing. I thought it was great. I liked it. I put that down here. I knew that was you, but I thought the singing one was too, because I was just listening.
I knew this would happen, and I said it. People are going to think that's me singing. I've already discussed.
Oh well, now we know.
It's not
no,
Chad singing.
at all.
There's nothing wrong with Chad's voice, just to be clear. But I really don't like people mistaking me for Chad.
Well, because he doesn't sing. Chad,
why is that?
Chad,
I just consider myself a singer, so then people.
No.
And I said actually it should be more clear that it's a collaboration on Spotify. It says RanD, and it should say RanD and Wendigo Drifter. So,
Spotify's tricky.
No,
I know. Good. This is my chance to do my disclaimer.
Yes, please do it.
I only have one song that says The Note featuring Chris Neufeld. Shoulder to Cry On went correctly. It said featuring Les July and Chris Neufeld. And it tagged a wrong Chris Neufeld because Chris doesn't have like an artist account yet. So it tagged the wrong one. So that was kind of weird. But then my other ones, it didn't. And I thought I put it in the same way. And I always wanted to tell the guys, sorry guys, trust me, I tried to. And also I didn't know. So I also uploaded two completely opposite because I didn't know what would happen. I kind of do that. It's been a guinea pig album. I didn't know anybody would even be listening. So I loaded up one where I did put that. And then the other one, She Can't Fill My Shoes, where I didn't put that, and they released the same day so that I could kind of see what would happen. Okay. And so one showed it and the other didn't. So then when I uploaded the others, I thought it would upload right. So, hey, yeah, it's just weird. We learn, right?
Yes, we learn.
For the Spotify uploads. So I'm not blaming her or anything. She does that side of it.
Yes, but sometimes it's tricky, you do things and then...
Well, also we have a track there that is in capital letters and it's called When I Die. So I'm like,
I love that one.
You're screaming it, when I die. It shouldn't be in capital letters.
Can you imagine criticizing to me?
I don't like the capital letters.
Hey,
when I
check
die.
it out.
He had to. Well, continue. Continue.
I love that song, by the way.
Wow, it's Wendigo's Drifter too.
That's the cover. So we did one collab and one cover.
Oh!
Well, it's because, of course,
when I listen to them.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Their music is just, for me and for Ryan, we are massive fans. But massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love their music, really.
There's so many great indie bands. I mean,
wow. Yes. Amazing,
Over the last year, it's been for me only maybe of kind of getting to know everybody in this community. And I'm just blown away by the talent, you know what I mean? And the productions and the people, we recorded ours in the garage. Like we recorded all of the initial stems in Chris Neufeld's garage. And then we recorded the bass player and guitarist recorded his in New York, and there were 3 guitarists on the album and different tracks. So one recorded his, Alistair Green in Texas when he was home on tour. And then Les July lives in Jamaica, Queens. He plays bass and guitar on the entire album, pretty much, other than 2 special tracks that featured different guitarists. And he's in Jamaica, Queens. And then the other guitarist is in Long Island, New York, not far from really where Les is. They don't know each other, but he played guitar on one of the tracks, that one, When the Rain Came Down. And so,
what a song.
Wow. Sorry,
Yeah.
Earthquake. Just kidding.
No, please.
You're gonna get
I go,
one day it's coming.
dude, we get them every day.
Yeah,
we've
but
been
the big one, we've been talking about the big one.
I lived in Northridge when the one hit that collapsed the freeways around us.
Wow.
I was there. I was sound asleep and woke up in the sky, and I thought, I was like up in the air, and I was like,
Oh no,
it's
so
the
scary.
second coming. I swear. I was like, what? And then I landed on the bed, and I was like, what the hell?
Wow.
And then my roommate was like,
scary.
it's an earthquake. It's an earthquake.
So
Get in the hallway.
scary.
So I got in the hallway.
Terrible.
But all the houses around us sort of collapsed, but ours didn't. And so, and we had a jacuzzi outside. We were kind of the party house anyway. So that became like, you could kind of take a bath in that, and you could get the water out of it and put it in the toilet to flush the toilet. So, and our house didn't, collapse like the ones around us. So that's just weird how an earthquake is. You know what so that was crazy.
You always do
Wow.
that hurricane.
So there is that about that. I've never been in a hurricane.
You don't
but
see that like
I don't
500 houses destroyed and then one house just standing up.
Oh yeah. Like the way that one that hit in Hawaii. That's kind of how that hit that island. It seemed like there were areas that got hit, and then right next to it would be one that was okay. So that's just sad. That's how it is.
Misfortune. No?
Yeah.
So, well, I didn't really get to hear much about your childhood, but I'm not gonna dig to there because really your music is so amazing. Honestly, the last week this album, I've been enjoying it so much, and I know you want to speak about that. So it's called Golden Side, and it's can be described as a blend of 80s rock with a modern bluesy edge. Tell us what was the inspiration behind creating the album?
I've been performing in bars and live since I was 17, so, full time. And so, and I put out 2 previous albums under a producer, Rick Gerard. And when he passed away, those albums were removed off all, they're non-existent. They weren't redistributed, which I didn't understand all that because I had never actually distributed my own music myself. I had never uploaded my own stuff before to understand the stuff you had to do in order to keep it going. Like you got to put it in as a legacy album, or when the new year comes, you have to pay to renew it or something like that. I don't know. I set my album up correctly. But then I was just performing live all the time. And in the beginning of 2023, I don't know, I just decided I wanted to record an album as a songwriter. And all these songs, I have 1 million songs. And I just wanted to, for once in my life, have the confidence to produce my own album and record the songs exactly how I heard them in my head. All the weird little things I heard, whether it was, whatever, all the weird sound effects, all the anything in my head, I was going to pay for it all. So I wanted to record this album and not have anybody get in my head. And as a woman in the industry, there's just a thing about when you say you produce music. I don't know what it is. It's like, oh, but I wanted to produce it myself. And my partner, Chris Neufeld, who's the keyboardist who I've played with for about 13 or 14 years, he also is so phenomenal. And I knew he was a great keyboardist because Rick Gerard a producer, because he taught us how to produce an album, how to be organized about it, how to produce it. What did that mean? Editing, cutting stuff that was too much, all that stuff, right? And so mixing and all that. And so what I did was I just wanted to do it for my son. I wanted to have something because I had never recorded my songs. The music I did with Rick Gerard, my songs, only like 2 or 3 made it on the album. And it was a Christian rock album. And it never even got distributed, which I learned once I put my own music up and got in the back office, which I had never had access to before, and saw that they had 0 plays. I was like, oh, like there was one cover I did of a Chris Stapleton tune that maybe had 2, like ever. I didn't even know about that stuff. So anyway, I had to get all that stuff taken down so that it wouldn't be there when you guys went there, because it was just blank things, and it was nobody. It would say no content. No, I was what the hell? But TuneCore was great. Spotify was great. Amazon, everybody was great. They all helped me clean all that up before the singles came out, so that when the singles came out, there wouldn't be that confusion. But I wanted to write it as a songwriter. I didn't think I would be accepted in the world, because here I'm in California, everything's so vain at my age again as an artist. So I just thought, I'm just going to do this, and a little bit of money every month, I'll go in and record this, and then I'll have this thing for my son. So really it was that motivation of wanting to tell that story. And the songs are really all a story around the lyrics of Gold Inside.
Amazing.
Michael. But am I frozen?
No. Okay, no. You just froze momentarily.
Yes.
I thought it was trapping. It's okay.
It was because I stopped moving while I was talking.
You stopped, and everything was frozen in time
Just
for
kidding.
like 4 seconds. It was weird.
I was wondering. I was like, God, I must be really boring. I should stop talking. Oh, I'm like,
Both of us, like, what's going on?
No, it's not like that. No, there was a moment.
Yeah, like a whoa.
That was weird.
It was a hurricane.
But you can feel that in your music, that it is extensively yours. It's really got a lot of heart and emotion.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
It's amazing, really.
You're
It's
always
amazing.
telling a story, really, like a female empowerment, I would say, maybe.
Yes, very
especially
much.
within this kind of industry. That was actually one of my questions, or it's actually one of Deanna's questions.
Do it for me, please.
About really what kind of struggles you've faced recently and in the past with, just like you said, being a woman.
You know what? I was talking to Rick Gordon recently, just on a message, and I said something to him, and I thought about it, and he's been in the industry long enough to have understood what I meant. But I'm like, if you don't believe that being a woman in the industry had its certain struggles and very unique situations, then you either haven't been in the industry that long, and good for you if you're a girl that's 20. And I've had young people say, oh, bullshit, that didn't happen. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so, you've either not been in it long enough to know, or you were a part of the problem. So it's like, but just different weird things, like when I was just weird things, but mostly not being seen as a musician for whatever reason. And that could be even male singers. I don't know. But as a singer, when you're in the front, not everybody realizes, that you're a musician. So I've had literally people on stage say to me, it's in A minor. No one's hearing me. It's in A minor. No one's listened 5 times. And then finally they go, the dudes, hey, dude, I think it's in A minor. And then
Really?
I'm all, I just said it was in A minor. And the person's all, yeah, but you're not a musician. I was like, oh, okay, that's silly. Because I play the piano. It's just, you've heard Chris Neufeld he's the keyboardist on my record. Why would I play live when I got that guy? But anyway, that is a struggle, maybe just as a singer, male or female. But I do find, because it's a male dominated industry, I honestly don't know what it is. But when it comes to things like, being a band leader, a lot of it's just you handle it entirely different. But see, I've become really tough. Like, that's why I was teasing you last week, and you said,
For
"Well,
sure.
you're my first woman."
Yeah, for sure. You have
you
to.
just kind of learn some things. Like, I had a formula to stuff, like in the 80s. Like, you get your weird stuff that went around before the internet too, like within a community or whatever. And I had a formula too. If I didn't repeat it or talk about it or give any energy to a situation, it would go away in 2 weeks. I had this down. I was like, and also I had it down for how long I would get over a heartbreak too. Oh yeah. Okay. 2 weeks from now, dude, I ain't gonna know who you are. So like, there's this 2-week thing. But then, with now, I still believe that. I still believe, you got to focus on your music. That is one thing that I've learned. And I don't know if this even pertains to the question. I treat my music like a business because that's how I pay my bills. It's how I buy the food to feed my kid. I mean, I focus it as a business. And that's important. I think people do. In other words, I get up and I work on certain things from a certain hour to a certain hour. And but I try to focus it as a business. You know what I mean? And anyway, it's not a hobby for me. It's not just a hobby.
That's why I wanted to ask you about it, because anyway, I made a master in music production and I was the only woman. And I was,
so do you know what I mean? Do I sound crazy? It is that way. I don't know what it is.
That's why I wanted to speak just a bit about that, because yes, of course, I noticed. Well, I'm new producer and I'm noticing that it's like a men.
Yeah, and you have to say
I have to be in there like a very tough and strong and just to show that yes, of course, I am a producer and I know what you're talking about. Yes, of course, I understand.
I get it.
Yes. Exactly, I get it. Yes,
I get it.
About it as a business, it would be foolish if you didn't want to make a business out of your talents. Like, why would you want
That's what I think.
make business out of something that you don't like? Just doesn't make sense. There's other artists who will kind of look down at people who want to make money out of their art, but I don't understand that, because what you want to get paid nothing for your art and go work in
it depends.
An office or go.
Depends,
It depends on the people, but
that is just for the love of.
I didn't say anything otherwise. I said that that they look down on others, some artists, that they don't like people who are trying to make money from their music, and that's just.
I didn't even know that. Like, that's so weird, because for me, I've always been out in the world playing, where you made money doing your music. In fact, it's an insult that anyone would ask me to go perform anywhere for free. Like, hello. Yeah. That's crazy. So that's why for me, I make my money, performing live, and I would never do a gig free for live unless it was to promote my originals and I was opening for somebody to show I'm an original band. But as covers, I have to be paid for my originals. And it's weird. Sometimes you don't get paid because you're not known. And so you need people to see you and to hear your music, and you could sell your albums at those gigs. So there you make that money. But when it comes to my music, I have to treat it professionally, because I hope somebody famous would hear one of those songs and want to cut it. I mean, that's to be truth. What if that happened? Because the money is in the songwriting. You publish your song. I mean, you copyright your songs, you register your songs, and you could get those songs sync licensed. You could do things with those songs if you were my age, possibly, and thought about that. Now, when I was younger, I had opportunities like that. And nobody's singing my songs. They're my songs. But now I don't think that way. But I've spent a lot of money, probably over $8,000 or $10,000 on this album. And so for me, why would I? That is ridiculously dumb. Okay. I don't even get it. I'm not rich. I'm spending my little single mom money every month. I had a budget, and so now we get to go on vacation, hopefully. After the air conditioner's fixed. No, but anyway, you know what I mean? So it would be silly of me not to want to put it on platforms to be heard, but I don't expect to make money. So for me on the album, I happen to know how the business is. And I've made, I think, $46, but the album's not out yet. I could make, 86. And so, but for me, I would like people to hear the songs, because as a songwriter, I want them to hear it. As an advocate for women, I want them to hear it. There's Shoulder to Cry On that is written about my mother, and it is to talk about domestic violence and what it does to kids. And so I write my songs as an advocate. I write my songs about every single one of them is mine, other than She Can't Feel My Shoes. A man wrote those lyrics, believe it or not. That's not really my personality either. So that's always funny. I always say, you wouldn't believe the one I didn't write. But anyway, I that's important. So I want people to hear that message, because what if there's a little kid, a little girl or something that hears that and whatever. And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So maybe I'll redo that song again. But that's why I put it out last year in October, was because that was it went out November 3rd. I tried to get the October one, but because that's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I think a lot of people feel that way that are true songwriters. So don't you, Deanna, kind of like, it's like if you wrote a book, you hope people read it. Even you want your friends to just read it, even if they don't buy it. You hope they read your story. You know what I mean?
It's the same with when I do the lyrics. I'm just excited to share the ideas that I have. Like, there's a message in all of our songs. There's
especially that humanity song.
Humanity Disorder.
Well, exactly. Yes.
That's on my gravestone. At least I've got that one when I'm gone.
That when I read them, I was like, who's gonna sing that? Me? No, of course. And this is like what? A rap or something like that weird. And that's why I said, well, you are going to sing that. And
good producer move. It works. You know what I mean? It works. Nice. And it was nice because people do that. And if you don't have timing and rhythm, because like people will come for voice lessons who aren't singers, but they're rappers. And so what they're coming to learn is how to rap in the pocket and how to put their voice in the cadence of the music and how to breathe so they don't run out of air while they're putting all those words out. So there is talent to that. I mean, there is.
Exactly. He does well, I have a lot of problems.
But I wrote the songs forgetting that I would probably have to sing them. You know, I have to sing them. I don't consider
you guys are great.
I don't consider myself a singer at all, or even a rapper. And really, Deanna had to coach me through every lyric, every line.
Oof, but difficult. So but anyways, I believe that he has a great voice.
She likes my voice. That was
yes. For that kind of music, well, that I'm trying experiments, but yes, the rest of the lyrics that he writes is just about the things I say, you know, about my complainings and about the desire that I have to make music, because I wasn't like you, brave to sing and to show who I am. I was very shy always to sing, and
I'm trying to encourage Deanna that we just possibly do something.
He did it. Actually, you did it. Thank you very much. What? No. Come on. No, forget it. No. No.
Most
like, what are you going to do? And I'm going to be there with a tambourine and a big
That's right. Shake your butt. Shake your booty. You know what?
That's all the dance moves as well for an audience.
Yes.
Wait,
you do.
You know what, though? The thing is, as a voice coach, I'll tell you honestly, most singers are shy. I know I came up to a reason why this is, because I think if you're a natural musician and you're birthed a musician, I know you know what I mean. Like it is in your blood and your skin. There are people that get this. You can't not be that. Okay. But in order to be that, part of that gift is to be able to express things that you see in life, right? By writing songs. And so real artists, like we have that gift, and that requires a certain sensitivity and vulnerability, because otherwise you wouldn't even be able to see or empathize or understand people's feelings. How would you be able to even write lyrics or express yourself? So you're overly raw, right? So when I started coaching people, little kids would come in here and I would notice, oh, that kid's a little weirdo like I was, you know what I mean? And I only started coaching because when I was on tour, my band went head on into a building. And so that's how my career ended. That's why you keep saying, I wonder why she doesn't do this. So I was getting signed to Geffen Records, but I was on tour with a band called Lickety Split. And we went lickety splat into a wall going about 50 miles an hour after we'd been on the road for 12 hours. And so I had to, I was in the hospital for a while in another state because, we were on tour. And so then when I could get transferred back to my family, that's how I got back to Bakersfield, because I had to be here for 2 years, like recovering. So it took about 1.5 years to where I could walk about 2 minutes, right? And I couldn't sing anymore because I broke 9 ribs and 3 of them went into my lungs. And so I couldn't sing. So it took a long time. And because of those injuries, my son died, my first son. So all of that happened and I lost myself. Like I went head on into a building and woke up later, not Deedra Patrick, the singer, not maybe signing a record deal, back in town with my family when my band was in New York. And I was depressed. And so, suicidal, the whole thing.
For sure.
So when I had my new son, Matthew, he was also born prematurely like my first son because of those injuries, but he saved my life. Like there was different science available when he was born, so they were able to save him. But he has cerebral palsy and he's deaf. He can hear with his hearing aids on, and he has a little autism. but he's very smart and very funny and walks and is very high functioning and is an amazing miracle. And he changed my life. And so that album, when I say I wrote gold inside for him, that's what I mean. And why did I become an advocate for people with special needs? Because of him. And why are those songs in there, Run, Trip, and Fall, for people with special needs? Because of him. Okay. And so I don't know how I got sidetracked there. How did I get sidetracked there? I don't know. But anyway, with songwriting and as an, yeah, that's it. But you're sensitive. So I think that as an artist, if you really, our life is meant for you to be that, you will go through hardships. You're meant to share it and be with the world. But I found so many singers are shy. So as a voice coach, I developed all kinds of weird little tricks so that a person could step on stage and be in a different thing, a different space. It's very difficult for me. I'm very shy. You wouldn't know. Okay. I stay in my house. I get from here to the stage, or I'm here with you. It's like, I feel safe. I like you guys a lot. But when I go to a club, for me to get out of the car and go through the people, especially if it's people going, hi, it's hard. Once I get up on stage, I'm okay. So my son says I have social anxiety disorder. Like, I don't. But I think that's normal, right? So you just have to get in a different space when you stand on stage and look past all the people and just give your message, right? But it does take bravery, I think.
Well,
a lot.
I was going to give maybe a silly example. And it's a little guilty pleasure of Deanna's and mine, or it used to be, but we used to watch a lot of America's Got Talent.
Okay.
So
is that the one with Simon Cowell?
This is you.
That Simon Cowell?
Ryan Loves.
So what you would find is that you would have a lot of incredibly talented singers, or the incredibly talented ones that you would see are always shy. Like you say, they're always shy. They always come on stage.
They are.
They're so quiet. They're scared, and then they open their mouth, and you're like, "Oh, fuck! Now that's some voice."
There's their gift.
But then
that's their gift.
You get the other ones that come on, and they're super confident and super cocky, and then they're the worst singers ever. So it's definitely something about that, about the rawness and the shine. Most people that are artists are a bit introverted, so that's why it's a struggle.
I believe it. You have to be, because like if you have your friends too that are the opposite, and they have to be that. Like that's how we balance each other out, right? And then I always say in the music business, when you create an album, it's a car. You have the wheels, you've got the engine. It's not, and when one person's doing all those parts of the vehicle, that's a lot. But like with my album, I made sure, like I didn't tell anybody for 9 months that we were recording. I still like locally, nobody knew. My cover band I play with here didn't even know. I love those guys. They're amazing musicians. But I just wanted to nobody get into my weirdo head. Yeah. I know that sounds weird, but that's the truth. I just told Chris, I go, let's let our freak flag fly.
No, it's like that.
But yeah. So anyway, I think though that we balance each other out. But with those pieces, like I chose an engineer that's a great engineer. And when we were done with our stems and our parts we did in our garages, then we took it into the studio to Parisi McGriff, who then mixed and mastered it there. And we laid down the live drums at the end of everything. He came in and played live drums to all the other parts. So he's a phenomenal drummer. And that was Roger Hoyneke. So those were the only things live in a studio other than at the very end then. And I do this all the time. I go back in at the end and then record my lead vocal on the top of everything at the end, because I want to sing it then after I can feel all the parts and the energy of the bass line, which, by the way, who's laying down the bass on your songs?
Me, everything.
Yeah,
you're so funky. I put that in here. I was like, oh, I'm a bass person. I don't know. I love guitar. That's probably my favorite instrument because I like to hear the strings. I like the sound of fingers sliding on those strings. I love that sound. But I love bass. I think people forget how important the bottom of your band is. But a bass player, man, my bass player is phenomenal. Les July. I didn't even know he played guitar. When I hired him on this album, it was to play bass. And then he said, Deedra, I could play guitar too. I was like, you can? He's like, I'm like, oh, okay. And he's a phenomenal, he plays horns. He does his own stuff. He's on Spotify. So he has his own artist page. And his stuff is kind of like, he's into like Kate Bush and, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And I also chose people that were know people. Okay. I have a very strong personality, but I am very, very like easygoing, even though I have that strong personality. But most of the time, people don't get past the strong personality to realize that. They think, oh, she ain't gonna listen to what I say.
Like me?
But I do, right? But I chose people that I knew would say no to me a lot. And sometimes it was frustrating, but that's why I chose them. I chose people that would say, Deedra, that sucks. Or, that I don't like that. Or it didn't mean they changed my mind. Most of the time they didn't, but sometimes they did. And it was just because I wanted to have people that were so confident in their skill of what they do that they would stand strong on what they gave me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like sometimes it got cut because I'm the producer.
Of course.
And Chris Newfeld's the main producer on this album, not me. I'm the weirdo thoughts,
It's, for Deanna, it's quite difficult because she'll ask me questions and I'm like, I don't know.
No, but just to ask you an opinion about music is just frustrating, So what about this? Well, this is not an opinion.
I don't like this part, but I can't describe it. It's very difficult for me.
So I asked to my mother. My mother is the best. I asked her and she, well, yeah, why not? And the voice is too loud. My mother is fantastic. Well,
isn't she a musician?
No, my grandfather.
Okay.
Her father was a musician. He was the one that taught me how to play the guitar. So
that's nice.
Yes.
I thought I remembered you saying something about someone in your family being a musician.
Yes, was my grandfather, and he was an amazing guitarist, and he created his own method. So it's amazing. But I was like a teacher always because I'm shy. So I never believed that I was going to sing or to produce my own stuff. This really is Ryan. I have to say that. Thank you. Because yes, his lyrics
encouraged you.
Yes. He was like,
doesn't that make a difference when just one person, honestly, not to sound cheesy, but this is the honest to God truth. Like, I don't ever get upset about the local people that look at you differently than people outside. That's just the way it is because they know you as, Deedra the mom or Deedra the this or whatever. Yeah. So there's that. But when I started putting out my music and the indie community liked it outside of here, I was shocked. And then it encouraged me. At first I wondered what it was about. Like, that was a fluke. And then, because when we were going through that band thing, that's how I got to know everyone. I don't know why. I happened to see some post that said something about an indie tournament. And I thought, this will be embarrassing because I didn't want to ask anybody if they liked my songs here because I just was embarrassed. You get shy about it. So I put it in that thing knowing really nobody here would probably see I was doing that. And then all these people outside of here that I never met voted for me. And like I was saying earlier, like, that brought me back. Oh yeah, I know all of us musicians go off train and come back, but hey, you can follow me. That brings me back to the album. I didn't think anyone at my age, because I let my hair go. I've always had red hair, but at the pandemic, I stopped coloring it and I noticed it was white. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? And I stopped coloring it.
Yeah, lovely.
But I didn't know. I was told at 30 I was too old. I've gone through so much shit in the industry you don't know. I got told after my car wreck, because right after that accident, I put on 50 pounds, like all around my rib cage. My body just swelled up around there. And I got a letter that said, the record label will think you're too fat, so you're not going to be able to put out your music. I mean, it was literally typed to me, right? And like, I've had people, Deedra, yeah, you can come, but you have to wear a tube top. All the girls have to wear a tube top and spandex. I mean, you don't even know. I mean, so much shit is never about the music.
Just my friends, I was always with metal bands. All my friends, metal. I was 15 years old, always with these guys I was in Colombia in that time. And me singing, bossa novas and boleros. Like, such a boring voice you have. And me, So, I just always try to sing because, you're boring. I mean,
because they wanted women to sound like screamers. And that didn't, right? But it wasn't until Evanescence came out. I remember this. So Evanescence came out and her voice was operatically trained over top of this metal sound. So then the industry started hearing, oh, soft, pretty female voice could also be on top of a hardcore metal voice.
Yes.
Because like for me in LA, I had to be able to chest voice belt it, like no head voice, because in metal and in hard rock, you know, I couldn't be singing in my head voice. I had to be belting it in a chest voice. And my voice coach at the same exact time was also coaching Axl Rose and Exene of the band X, and also Anthony Kiedis from the band Red Hot Chili Peppers. So all of these people were taking lessons in Hollywood at the same time I was. And she was teaching all of us to sing head voice, opera switch at our break. And that's why the screams are different. The screams from, say, like Guns N' Roses to the guttural kind of screamo. You heard a switch. You guys, you know what I mean? And like the screamo sound of lead vocals in metal. Maybe more the 90s or after, like the blah, 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 blah. So that was a different thing than what you do at the top of your break, and the rah, rah is down in your guttural. So it's a whole different placement in the voice. But she was giving us all lessons at that time. But I had the clean opera trained voice, and I was singing in a metal band. And I just thought if I drank a lot of whiskey, I could, you know, because Janis Joplin did that. It helped. But really, what got my sound that I have was just years on the road. That's what does it. I mean, like I was too trained to be clean. And I was like, I really would go into head voice on stage. I was like, but that's the way you're supposed to sing. Hit me with your best shot. You know, because I couldn't chest voice it. I was too young. I was only 17. So, you know, but so your voice kind of changes the longer you sing. The vocal cords are rubbing against each other, so they get a little grit. And so then when the sound comes through, you just have a grit. Like I don't try to have that in my voice anymore. It's just what it is. But anyway, so yeah, that I thought, you know, just drink a bunch of whiskey, you know, smoke a lot of pot, and then I would just be like,
and comes along,
you know. So, you know, now
I am now. I'm going to try.
I don't drink now, by the way.
I'm just
my recipe for
we have a punk now, you know, that is coming, a punk song. So I'm going to try to sing different.
I remember you. Is that the one that Ryan wrote the words for? Remember? And he said he wrote them and said he thought it was punk when he was writing them. Is it that one? Oh, I'm psychic. How did I know that?
Is that one? Punk the punk. Well, yes.
What's it called?
Rebel or Rely.
Rebel or Rely, yeah.
Rebel or Rely? Rebel
or Rely.
Rebel or
Rely on the... Well, I'm not gonna reveal any more about this song.
Well, it's amazing. Well, the lyrics, amazing.
I'm just kidding.
Sounds amazing already. Diana already.
Yeah.
Sounded
Thank you very much.
Really,
well, if you
You're
like
a great
it,
writer. I like your chemistry you two have. It's funny. I love that you're doing this today.
Well,
I thought it was funny though. Oh, go ahead.
I've been encouraging Diana, but like she's very camera shy, and well, so am I.
You look beautiful. Look at your skin. I'm looking at your skin going, wow. Like I put on like about 4 different moisturizers this morning. Oh, and then I tried that El Michelage shit. Remember I told you, I don't know what it is called, but everybody's going to laugh in America because I can't say it. It's El Michelage, la, 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 la. That's what I call it. And it's this stuff you stick on your skin and it's supposed to make it stay that way, but it didn't. And then when you put makeup on top of it, it becomes little balls. I hate wearing makeup. Okay.
Me too.
When I do a podcast,
me too.
It's all about makeup. When you guys put 11:30, seriously, for the work, it's all about makeup. All I got to do is look at my calendar. I don't know. Do I want to put on makeup that day? You know, and then
I'm not a makeup woman too much.
No, me neither. I don't know how they do
it's
all
boring,
that
you know,
stuff.
and I forget. So sometimes I just, and then, black. I mean, really?
Why didn't you tell me? I didn't notice.
Yeah,
Dude,
and he's like that. Why you don't tell me all of this black, you know? No.
I went to the grocery store. It was like, I don't know. I wanted donuts, right? Because I had the munchies. It was probably like 2 a.m. So I'm in the aisle at Albertsons, right? And this man comes up. I'm looking at the donuts. And he goes, honey, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I get home and I look in the mirror. And I had rubbed all my mascara all around my eyes. So now I have a mirror at my front door. So I have to, because I don't look in the mirror all day.
I thought you just saw a lonely woman buying donuts at 2 a.m. and
no, it was like No, he went. I looked like, I don't know what I looked. I was like so embarrassed when I got home. But yeah, there's a mirror literally right now, like right next to my door, so that when I'm walking out the door, I remember to look in it.
It's like one of my worst nightmares. Having something on the face. No, I'm always paranoid about that when I go out.
Yes.
Yes. Some trauma inside.
But the way they do makeup now, though, I watched those tutorials and I'm like, oh.
No.
Like, why would you even want to sit there that long? And you could go like this on the skin, like that, you know what I mean? And you could like probably leave a dent.
Well, have you seen these videos now?
Well, that could be cool.
Diana shows me videos.
Oh, you could make tracks for your tears. Like if you went like this, and when you cried, they would just go right there.
There's
There's
videos of like boys putting on makeup, and then
I know
Asian boys a lot of the time, and then 15 minutes later, it's like a very beautiful
woman,
Asian
and
woman.
a spectacular woman.
But I want someone to do mine just one time. I want to see like
I am the same, and for years saying the same. Oh, one time, and nothing. I don't know when, but one time at least, yes. And I want to put this fake eyelash.
Oh yeah! Oh my god!
Yeah. At least once, just to see. Yeah. And then for sure I am without.
I think mine would fall off on stage. I would be afraid. That's why I don't do that. Because on stage, all my makeup melts off anyway. So yeah, I'd be the person with the lashes like on my cheek. You know what I mean?
For sure, I would be the same. Wow. You have another question, serious question, please? No makeup.
But the conversation, it's hard to go to these serious questions. You know, there's a lot of serious questions here.
And I do kind of get off track a lot. So sorry.
But I anticipated that. I anticipated that based on our conversation last week. So I was ready for you. I don't worry, I was ready for you.
I segue back eventually.
But this is what I want anyway. I don't want to do interviews. I'm not an interviewer. I just wanted to speak to people and like.
Well, this is lovely, no? Yes, to get to know the real Deedra. No, the serious.
I've been looking forward to it. Yeah, I've been looking forward to talking to you guys all week. Like, literally gave me something to look forward to because I just really enjoy talking to you. Like, I don't know, I really like, especially you, Deanna. I don't know why. But by the way, you should put out a Spanish album.
Yes,
you should put out at least 3.
I have a lot, but
just, I'd love to hear a couple.
No, it's just they are too romantic. That's what I'm telling you.
So if that's what they are,
romantic,
you know what I mean?
And then my friends boring. So that's why. But yes, I'm gonna start recording my
a Facebook Live concert. Mm-hmm.
I would love that. It's not boring, and you got to think the people though that like that music will not think it's boring. I had to kind of get that in my head too, like with my music. Like
beautiful.
Well, maybe
it is.
You know, I'm gonna write you, and maybe you can help me. Because if you're
I would love to.
Maybe you can help me.
I've been doing it. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's so funny because I'll say to incredible singers and I'll say, I could teach you to do this. And sometimes I notice that some people think that's like not a compliment.
Oh, no.
For me, it's a compliment. It's like, oh no, I think you're phenomenal. You know what I mean? And it's never I could teach you something. It's always usually like there's a breathing thing or something, you know.
I always have to learn something, you know. It's just
me too. I learn.
I love to learn.
I always want to say that. I never ever say that to someone because I think I only coach people that can sing. Which, by the way, I mean, not to break anyone's heart, but if you're completely off key, I'm not going to be able to teach you to be in key. I might be able to teach you to sing one song at a wedding because I could coach somebody to stay in key for that song because they just learned that song. When you take that skill, though, off to another song, if they have only learned the melody and put it in their head and the muscle memory for the other song and where the muscle memory is to hit those pitches. So you can do that. But as an overall thing, I saw somebody put, anybody could be taught. And I was like, well, no, but you could use auto-tune. Anybody could be auto-tuned. And there is that. Not that people should do that, but I'm making kind of a joke.
But you can hear that. You can hear this auto-tune. So no, it's better don't use that.
Especially if you put it across the whole track. But if you only do like a syllable of a word in the whole track, because maybe that syllable's a little flat, that's all right. That's okay. It's not setting auto-tune across the entire track where you can hear the whole thing. You know what I mean? Which I think is how probably it was in the very, very beginning. But do you know what Melodyne is?
Yes, of course, I use it. Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Chris, you know that song New Love that's on my album?
Yes.
The slow one? When I wrote that song, I sent it to him, and it was not that. It was those chords, but not that melody of my voice. And so I didn't think he liked it because it's kind of sad. And I never heard back from him about it. Chris has Asperger's, and so he's a genius. You know, we communicate a certain way though, and I send him songs, and if he ever responds back, I know he likes them. And if I never hear back, then he didn't like them. So I never heard anything about that song. And then one day he sent it to me, and it had my voice in a whole other melody. And which I don't mind that because he's my partner. If he does something, which he's never done that though, change my melody, he'll change the arrangement sometimes because he's brilliant. And I'll be like, oh, that's cool. And if I don't like it, I'll be, that's not cool, which I've never had to do. But when he sent New Love, I thought it was really weird, right? And I just started laughing. As soon as I hit play, I just started laughing because it was so bizarre. It was like the first time I ate cilantro, and I was like, and then I was like, ooh. And so it was weird. And then I kept listening, and the melody was weird. So he never makes a mistake. So I was afraid to send this, but I sent the message, Chris, is that really what you want me to sing? And he goes, yes. I go, did you use Melodyne like to change my melody? He says, yes. And I'm all, okay. So I had to study it because it was not an easy song. I had to study it. I had to study the timing on where the pocket was, especially the second verse, how to go. I love that song, but that was him using that tool to, you know, add to my songwriting. Because what I do is I record them live on the piano, right, with my phone, and me singing them live after I've decided the chords and the arrangement and the lyrics, and then I send them to him. And then he pulls them up in Pro Tools, and he plays and puts it up into Pro Tools, and then he starts building it with himself playing the keyboards and a drum track and a bass and a guitar, all these like ideas. And then we replace those ideas. After we got to working with Les July, though, after the first song, we stopped sending him like guides of what we wanted him to do because he's so phenomenal. And I could see that he really got the vibe of it. And I was like, well, let's just see what he does. You know what I mean? So we'd say, you know, give me the flavor of this or the flavor of that. And he always nailed it, you know.
Oh, this is so beautiful how you can work together like that. Because it's not easy sometimes, you know. Well, me as a producer, I produce a guy from New York, and it was impossible. It was impossible. What he wanted,
because you're a girl?
And I was no, because what he wanted for me was no way, no, I cannot do that. And he was, but yes, I want that. So I mean, no, I'm sorry, it's difficult. Yes, to be a producer is not so easy because you have to do what the artist wants, and sometimes it's like, no, it's not like that.
Right. And you just really, I love what you said because it really just showed also producers are artists as well. You could have a producer that doesn't even play all those instruments, but they have it in their head of what they think this and this and this, right? Exactly. A producer is their own artist and their own flavor. So as a band, you decide, do we want a producer? Maybe not. Maybe I just want to do it the way I want. Fine, then do that. If you do want a producer, however, you have to look and see what have they produced before? Are they my style? Is it somebody that would produce this the way that I want it? And is it someone I can collaborate with, or is this a Grammy producer who's going to control the whole project? Exactly. And you have to, as an artist, make that decision, right? I think artists need to know that. Like, you're making the decision. Nobody's making you do anything. It's like, you know, you don't have to, in 2024, nobody's making anybody do anything. If you want a producer, get a producer, pay the producer, or do one of those, you know, if it makes money, 50-50 thing, you know, like me and Chris are doing. If we ever make any money, you know, after we cover the cost of the album, then we'll both get, you know, 50-50. Woo woo. Yeah, maybe that day will come.
For sure you will.
Yeah, I don't know.
20%.
This album is amazing. Your album is amazing, you know?
Really? You're the first people, by the way, that I've talked to that have listened to the album.
Wow.
So I've only sent it to you, a friend of mine here in town who writes for the Californian, but I haven't heard his, you know, opinion of it. You're the only people. So it was interesting to me hearing
you very much. Yes, I was with my headphones, like focused.
It wasn't boring. It's not too mellow.
No, really, your voice is, for me,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
It's my kind of music, you know.
So I could tell that when I heard your songs. You have such a beautiful singing voice. I put that on here. I was like, oh, I made a list because it made me think of all the people that run these podcasts who are actually musicians who only till recently I heard them sing, like Christina Bach. She's got a beautiful voice. Like they did the whole live stuff during the pandemic. How the hell did they do that? My band could not figure that out, but they got the technology down in that situation. And then there's like you guys, and then there's those guys that run Sweet Beets. They have that band Flying Beets, singers. So and EWL, Tim, he has his own band. Yeah. I mean, I feel so embarrassed to say, because they're probably going, you didn't know that. Well, no, it took me a minute to figure out Even Without Life was the same thing as EWL, although I did figure that out about 6 months ago or something. And I've always followed from my personal page, so I would see the updates, but I hadn't followed from my artist page. So because I actually see better updates on my personal page, but I always forget that I'm on my personal page because they're the same name. But there's a bunch of people that run these podcasts that I thought you guys just did podcasts. So I've been listening to everybody sing in the last week, and I'm like so impressed. I'm like, oh, I don't know when I was talking to someone, I go, I didn't even know you don't ever put those videos up on your page. So I didn't even really know. And I don't mean to sound I wasn't interested. I just didn't know.
No, exactly. But it's beautiful, because when you find them, it's like you, I didn't know that you exist until I was scrolling my phone, suddenly,
You didn't know we did music. It's quite ironic. No.
And that's okay.
Yeah. But
what'd you say?
The podcast came after the music. Actually, the podcast was
your podcast did.
Yeah,
and so that but that's what shows your reach by doing your podcast, and that goes for me. I know it sounds corny, but I think when you give, which that's what you guys are doing, like you're giving your attention to the other artists, right? Then it starts coming back where it's like, oh wow, like listen to this music, that's amazing, like so. I don't know. It gives you that at least platform, but I think because you're giving so much, then it's going to start coming back.
It's beautiful, the support and for me, it's absolutely incredible that I can just help in a way,
Last year.
So Ryan, so what were you saying? You had so you guys had the page up and you had your music up, and then you started the podcast after that?
Yeah, the podcast just started in June. And we were doing the music since last December. The podcast was like spur of the moment.
I see. Have you found other people like me that are discovering you through the podcast and then discovering your music, or am I just the only weirdo? You could say it.
No. Yes. So also, I think that yesterday interview, she knew about our music.
We did an interview with Deborah from R2RB Broadcasting. I always get that name wrong. She didn't know that we did a podcast. She wanted to speak to us about music, and then she was like, "I didn't know you did a podcast," and I was nervous. So
that's nice.
You go both ways. The podcast was never. I always wanted to be on the radio or speak to an audience or speak about other things, not necessarily music. But I thought maybe once we started doing this and we had 300 followers, I thought maybe if I do a podcast, some people might want to really. And I woke up to like me posting on Facebook. Who wants to be on a podcast?
What is that? Which podcast are you talking about?
She's like, who's going to produce that? And I'm like,
who's going to produce the podcast? Yes, but DB Productions and me. But I was not happy.
And now, was that page? Did you just open that page to support your podcast, or had you had DB Productions as well?
DB Productions was to check what Ryan was doing.
The R&D page initially, and then we have the idea to make a business of all kinds of things related to.
To be honest, was more to see what happened with my music. I was just producing things, and was Ryan. That's why I'm saying that Ryan encouraged me just to share, because I was like, no, it's not good enough for me. Nothing is good enough, never. So it's very difficult, because if not, I'm not doing anything. So he opened Facebook. He found a team from EWL. He showed the first song, the second, and then I was like, what he's doing, with my music? What are you doing? So I opened DB Productions, because I'm producing, I'm doing things, with with production. I was studying. I was producing some people in here.
You
in
can
Barcelona.
tell.
So I was like, oh, and then reading that people like my music and such a nice voice, and me, wow, I'm not born. So yes,
And your
like
voice is so good though. You have such a pretty voice. I was listening to it and I was like, I mean, you like should be on every single playlist being shared and so forth. And what I find usually is when I do have weird thoughts like that of just realizing certain people, what music they're doing, I'm not alone. I mean, probably other people as well. You know what I mean? I mean, I can't be alone. I mean, sometimes I'm kind of strange alone, but I am discovering all this new music, probably more the time now. When I'm I don't know what you're like, but when I was producing my record, I didn't listen to a lot of outside music because I was in the studio all day and working on writing and recording. And I really, again, didn't want I wanted to see what came out of my brain without any influence of anything. You know what I mean? As weird, I know it sounds weird, but that's what I wanted to do.
It's not weird. This is, you can lose it, you know? You can lose your ideas.
You should be proud though. You should be like totally encouraged. I'll encourage you as well because you have a beautiful singing voice. You have a great voice. It's in pitch the whole way. The melody's good. The lyrics are great. And you're pretty to listen to.
Call it sexy.
Thank you.
Don't call it sexy.
It's sexy. You're so exotic.
No, she gets this a lot. Your voice is sexy. No,
really? Sultry.
Yes, sensual, sexy.
It's nice, but of course I don't want to be only sexy, you know, because I don't want just
to. It's sexy. I'm like, just accept it. Some people think it's sexy.
It's all right. I'm gonna sing like that. Well, no, it's nice. It's nice, but
rebel or rely. Then we'll see who's sexy.
I think it's a whole vibe, though, not just your voice. I think it's a whole vibe of the music. It's so relaxing and I loved it. It's so. What'd you say, Ryan?
And the lyrics.
And the lyrics. Well, yeah, you are the.
Oh yes. Oh, I mean that Humanity song is totally a makeout song.
This is for
That's a sexist song, Ryan.
It's a good song for 2024. I released that song the day before Trump got shot, so that was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Did you know? No, I'm kidding.
I didn't know, unfortunately.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't know.
I avoid all that kind of discussion on anywhere on Facebook because I have so many friends and they all have my family, they're like polar opposites. So I just like, you know.
We're living in California, so it's
kind of a crazy
state. Kind of complicated politics, let's say. I'll say no more.
For every law, there's a contradiction. It's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But yeah. But I've never been a very political person, although, you know, I don't say that out loud anymore.
I don't like politics.
I like to avoid politics, but I'm not even political either. I used to be very political in that I would follow it a lot very closely.
Me no.
But now I don't believe in it. So now I follow it with a mocking kind of...
I mean, who are you supposed to like? I go by the issues that pertain to my son. So if it's an issue that pertains to rights for women or people with special needs, then I have to look at it and determine especially disability and special needs rights. So usually I'm just kind of looking at what's going to affect his life and his livelihood or whatever if I'm not around. But I don't even know enough. Like my brain starts going, and I'm just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'll just talk about, I've always been kind of shy too, like that. Like for me, conversations with people, if it's about art and music,
no,
I'm good. Anything else, usually
it's never going to go that well if you talk about these things. We were brought up not to talk about politics and religion.
Me too, and religion and money. Those were the three things you just were raised. We don't talk about.
So you can talk about it with
much better like that.
Maybe where you aren't going to offend each other, but in public, I'm not going to say anything because I know that 10 people are going to hate me and 10 people are going to like me.
In here is very difficult. We live in here Catalonia, Spain, and it's just a mess.
So it's all a mess.
So you cannot speak, and if you speak, you give your opinion, you lose friendships. It's like that, you know. It's so
and it's so sad.
Yes, I lost a lot of friends just because I give my opinion of what is happening in here. Family too, yes. It's like, oh, you think like that? Yes, I think like that. Oh, so we cannot be together anymore. Yeah, it was horrible, no?
But how is that like love? Because that's what trips me up. Because like unconditional love and really offering that to people is accepting people for their differences and also being fascinated by their differences and like just talking to them and learning from their differences. Like I really listen to people and think, oh, I might learn something different than what I'm thinking. And also at my age, I get excited when something happens that's new. And I'm like, I never even knew that before. And not that I'm wise, it's just exciting to learn stuff. You reach a certain point in your life where like you
learn,
right?
Exactly.
And as a musician, I believe that once, and maybe this, I believe you go in stages as a musician. At first, you have to have a big ego to have the balls to get up on stage. It ain't easy for everybody. So you got to build this persona. And sometimes when you're young, that comes off as ego and whatever, when it's really just that bravery that you got to get up on stage and do this. And then at a certain point, as you progress and you age as a musician and so forth, and then you realize that, you know, you're just doing it for yourself and that there is not that ego anymore. And that, you know, as a musician, that you need to write and you need to let that out in that way. But anyway.
Well, I think there's a lot more that unites us than separates us, really. We're a lot more similar. It's just a lot of the divisions created by media.
And that's the truth.
Such nonsense. But we're actually all just people with health issues, with family, with interests.
Everybody.
And we're all just trying to succeed and not end up on the street. Mm-hmm. Like, that's my objective, to not end up on the street.
And I've been there.
I could be homeless.
No, dude, I'm exactly that.
You know,
I mean, I've been, you know, not have anywhere to live and not on the street, but having to be put up in a hotel. And it gets hard, right? But we're all different. And based on what you've been through, everybody's going to react to everything different. But I hope that really in love, like you have to accept people for who they are, even if they piss you off or whatever, like that's all right. I usually get over that stuff. So it takes, you know, I just have to see the person and let 2 weeks go. No kidding. I just can't, been in the business as long as I have. I don't like to judge people because there's so many other circumstances involved in why they act the way they act. But like that ego you have in your 20s, you know, when you get older, I think you let go of that and realize like you don't need it as much to get up on stage, but you do need it in the beginning. I think that's why 20-year-olds, I remember, I thought you guys were in your 20s. But anyway, everybody goes through their stages, right? But
I hate to bring it to a close, but we're already smashed through like a 70 minutes. So
you have way too much to edit.
I'll be here till next week. But what can
That's right, Ryan.
Tell me, before we go, tell me, when is the Golden Side out, the new album?
Golden Side is out October 11th. I have a single coming out, New Love, October 10th at 11:59 p.m.
Wow.
And then 1 minute later, the album comes out on October 11th. The whole album comes out. I don't know why it was one of those, again, guinea pig experiments. We're going to see what that looks like to do that. I don't know. Everything's just an experiment, right?
Yes. Exciting
experiment. It's been so nice having both of you on the show today.
I
love talking to you guys. We'll do it again.
Thank you very much. For sure.
Thank you. And I hope that you feel encouraged in your voice because you have a beautiful voice. And you are an incredible lyricist as well, Ryan. So I like your team and I appreciate you guys.
Well, you have a fan. Yes.
Forever now.
Forever. Your music is fantastic. And really, we love everything that Deedra Patrick has to give us.
Thank you.